Welcome back to Broken Electronics. It's great that you could spend some time here today. This is perhaps going to be a strange video because it's a very impromptu video. I was just in the process of doing something. I was preparing to do a video about my PowerBook 3400C, and I was networking classic Mac OS machines. In doing that, and it occurred to me that might be an interesting video. It might be something that people could learn from. So I started recording clips, and I'll throw them together. I hope it's not too disjointed, but it is an interesting rendition of how you can actually connect your classic Mac OS computers and then share those files with your modern Mac OS computers. So, I guess if you're interested in learning about that, please stay tuned. Welcome back to Broken Electronics. I'm very glad you could take some time to be here today. This is going to be a quick video, spur of the moment kind of thing. I was preparing to do a video on my PowerBook 3400C, and I wanted to get some of the data that was on there. If you saw the video about that, you might remember I combined into a personal folder. The original owner of the machine had done a tremendous amount of genealogical work, seemed evidently mostly on his wife's family, and it's not like it's of any great value to me, but somehow it just seemed wrong. He had worked so hard with it that not to preserve it, I don't know. So I wanted to get that off because I am going to be reformatting the drive on that machine and installing a new OS. Upcoming video on that. So I took the personal folder. Excuse me. By the way, we are here on my Power Mac G4 Sawtooth, booted, of course, into OS 9. I wanted to do this video to just cover OS 9, OS 8 networking, because with was it Jaguar or Panther, networking changed. On this machine, booted into OS 9, I cannot access my network file server. However, on this machine, booted into OS 9, I can access any other machine that's booted into OS 8 or OS 9. So I was able to move the files from the PowerBook 3400C to the Sawtooth over the network. And what I moved was this personal file. There's also the PowerBook G3 series PDF and 3400 PowerBook folder. These are all technical manuals on the PowerBook 3400C. It seemed wise to keep them, just for reference sake, because I might possibly be able to make use of them in the future, or upload them, whatever, if they're not out there on the internet. All right, and just for the heck of it, X Post Facto was on it, so I grabbed that. I mean, I could grab that anytime I wanted. And I have moved them all onto the data IDE, so I will very easily be able to access those files when I booted back into Leopard or Tiger or Panther or any of the other many OSs on this machine. Now, how does one do this? First of all, if you go into control panels, you do have to enable TCP IP. connect via Ethernet, and then select using DHCP server. You might need to reboot the machine once or twice, but it should eventually connect. If you're connected via Ethernet, as I am on both these machines, it should eventually connect to your local network. Having done that, you can go to the network browser, look under local network, and find out. Right now, the only other OS 8 or 9 machine that I have that's up and running is the PowerBook, so that's all you're seeing here. If the iMac G3, for instance, was booted up, that would show up here, or the 1400 CS PowerBook, that would show up in here. They're all accessible here, and you can trade files back and forth, as I did here. And of course, the other thing you need to make sure you have enabled is file sharing. Turn file sharing on. Enable file sharing clients to connect over TCP/IP. And you're good to go. So that's a machine like this is very valuable to me because I can boot into OS 9 and communicate easily with any other classic Mac OS, at least OS 8, OS 9. I don't know about OS 7, System 7 to Mac OS 7.6. Maybe I'll find that out. We'll see that in the future. But at least OS 8 through OS 9 versions will all communicate here. I can trade files back and forth. And then all of those files are accessible once I've booted back into a newer version, if you want to consider Leopard newer, which it is compared to OS 9, version of Mac OS. So you can really network all of your Mac computers throughout your entire retro collection very easily. Well, I just thought I would share that, and I'll toss it up, but it'll probably be an intermediate upload rather than a full upload because it's so very short, unless I decide to connect it to something else. Who knows what I'll do. But in any event, be good to other people. Be good to yourselves. We'll make this a better world. It isn't yet, so please take very, very good and careful care in these difficult times. We've got a lot more things coming up. Classic Mac OS, early OS 10, PowerPC goodness. And you can find it all here on Broken Electronics. Well, I guess you could say that I lied. I've decided that I should add to the video a little bit. I took the time to start up a couple of other classic Mac systems. I started up my iMac G3, which is running Mac OS 8.6, and I am looking right now, as you are looking at, my PowerMac G4 MDD dual 867 megahertz machine, which can boot into OS 9 and obviously is booted into OS 9. All right, so look at control panels, TCP/IP. We've got Ethernet using the DHCP server, and we have an IP address, etc., etc. And file sharing. Okay, all of this information is there. File sharing starting up. That seems to be causing a problem for me to contact my Sawtooth, but whatever. I don't know why it's taking forever to do that. Note here, enable file sharing clients to connect over TCP/IP. That option does not exist in macOS 8.6, which becomes important once we go to the network browser. Here under AppleTalk, the Sawtooth is there, and Sienna's purple iMac. Now, why it's Sienna's purple iMac? Well, there's a reason why it's hers rather than mine, but that's another tale for another time. But we can connect to it under AppleTalk. But when we go to the local network, our options are again the Sawtooth and the PowerBook 3400C. I think the reason for that is, as I pointed out, in macOS 8.6, and Sienna's iMac is running that right now, there is no option to enable sharing files under TCP/IP. All right, so we can connect to Sienna's iMac, put in the password, now there's two partitions. That iMac has got a logic board restriction to having the operating system in the first 8 gigabytes of the hard drive. So I created a partition that is less than that, and then data partition. So I've mounted that, and we can see everything that's on there. All right. And going back to the network browser. Probably enable AppleTalk on this, but anyhow. And we can mount the hard drive of the PowerBook, and there's everything that's on that. Okay. And we could then go back to the network browser. Now, I am relatively sure that since the file sharing is still starting up, for some reason I will not be able to connect to the Sawtooth. But we'll try. Up, it connected perfectly well. And we can go to the data drive, which is kind of the file server on this machine. So we have a variety of things that show up here. I use the Sawtooth as the hub for connecting all of the classic Mac OSs. And this data IDE, which is available there, and then is available on all of the classic Mac machines that might connect, becomes the file server, since my actual file server is not available. So workarounds, and the workarounds work very, very well. So we can network. Now, the nice thing is that particular data IDE is going to be available on the Sawtooth with more modern OSs, such as Tiger or Leopard, which can connect to the file server. I could then connect things to the file server. Or actually, that data IDE is going to be available to connect from any more modern machine, since it can be connected by connecting to the Sawtooth. So it's, I thought, a pretty elegant system of dealing with the problems of networking the older Mac operating systems. Now, I will be interested in seeing, I do have plans to have a machine running Mac OS 7.6. I don't know, since I've never run Mac OS 7.6, if it actually fits in. I suppose we shall find that out. So anyhow, this has been a quick look at, well, not so quick now, at networking on classic Mac operating systems and how they can connect with modern Macs. And having said that, perhaps we should in fact do that. Stay tuned. Here on my Mac Pro 2010, my main computer, it's running Catalina, courtesy of DOS Dude 1. And we can see how we can now connect to the classic Mac OSs through the modern Macs. All right. Opening a Finder window and click on Network. And here we see, up and running, Lee's G4 Sawtooth. Connect as. We will put in the password. Might as well remember it. Okay. Come on now. Ha! Okay, yeah, I had to get rid of the space there. All right, now here on the Sawtooth we have mounted all of the possible shares that we can get. Here's data SSD, data IDE, and we can see that all of those files that I moved from the PowerBook 3400C are available, and I can transfer them to my modern Mac. So here we are. PowerBook 3400C from 1997, I think it was, has connected to a 2010 Mac, admittedly, but running a current Mac OS. And certainly I could connect on a Big Sur Mac, and it would work fine. So, yeah, networking is available. So, therefore, having said all of that, be good to other people. Other people really deserve it. Be good to yourselves. We can make this a better world. You want to be able to enjoy that. It isn't yet so. Take very good and careful care. We will have some PowerBook 3400C content coming up, and a lot of other things as well. So until such time, this has been Broken Electronics.